Hey guys, this is Eckhart. Hello and welcome to another Star Wars Legends lore video. Today, we'll be covering 5 of the strangest and weirdest places in Star Wars Legends, and at the end, I'll also throw in a few extras. Now, today's video is sponsored by the Eckhart social media team of me, myself, and I, so if you want to support the channel, consider dropping me a follow on Twitter, Instagram, or wherever else I am, links below. Anyway, I've tried to choose 5 locations which show the variety of strangeness in the Star Wars universe. Number 1 is the City of Dreams from issue 46 of the classic Star Wars Marvel comics. In that issue, which I was planning on covering fully, but I'll just sort of summarize now, when looking for Han Solo after Empire Strikes Back, Lando and Chewie become marooned in the middle of space. Suddenly, the stars shift away and the two are moved to what I can only call a different realm. The Falcon then crash lands on a floating island with a grand and marvelous city. The City of Dreams, as it is called, is a shelter from violence, described by an Imperial as a rent in the dimensional fabric of the universe, somehow constructed by the psychic energy of one Cody Sunchild, former rebel who was given a great gift after touching an eternal burning flame on a mysterious planet. The City of Dreams is both, as I said, a sanctuary from violence, but also a representation of Sunchild's soul. Unfortunately, it is eventually destroyed by an Imperial task force of battlecruisers as Sunchild allows himself to be killed. The dimensional gate is also closed, trapping the task force within. Number 2 is the Bedlam Pulsar. Telotny Throws a Shape was originally a fairly obscure work, published exclusively in the UK run of the Marvel Star Wars comics in 1982, but has since become more prominent because of both reprints and the fact that it was written by famous Watchmen creator Alan Moore. Telotny Throws a Shape features the Bedlam Pulsar, home to the Bedlam spirits, 4 or perhaps more beings which seem to be ultimately powerful with total control of space and time. One of the eccentricities of the system is a set of stormtrooper helmets which were 8,000 years old, a consequence of the spirits accidentally throwing a stormtrooper back in time. Now, I've covered Telotny Throws a Shape in full in a prior video if you're interested in more detail, but it's worth noting the strangeness of the system was also mentioned in the book Plagueis. Number 3 is Beyond Shadows from Fate of the Jedi. Now, I want to cover the metaphysical realm of Beyond Shadows and the associated practice of mind walking more deeply once I've reread all of the Fate of the Jedi series, but I'll give the Spark Notes version here. Beyond Shadows is an aspect of the Force, but also the universe, that one can reach by practicing detachment of the mind and body in a practice known as mind walking. Beyond Shadows has approximate relationship to the real world, and Abeloth, who was imprisoned by Sinkhole Station within the Maw, could affect those both on Sinkhole Station itself as well as those beyond Shadows, and in fact she used the Force to call out to those who were Force sensitive, attempting to escape. Some of the territory beyond Shadows reflected the prison world of Abeloth, which again was cut off from the galaxy by black holes. This included strange locations like the Font of Power and the Lake of Apparitions, all of which promised power and visions of the future and the universe to those who would drink or wade in them. But let's continue. At number 4 is Vector Prime, and I've explained how both in Star Wars Legends and canon, the Star Wars galaxy is cut off mostly from the greater universe by associated phenomena. In Legends, this was the hyperspace anomaly, which I've covered in prior videos. Now, it's not exactly certain what would happen if one tried to pass through the anomaly, and we know that Jedi Order attempted to break through during the Outbound Flight project, but what makes Vector Prime so strange is that it's seemingly an entrance into the galaxy which bypasses this barrier. Personally, I think that's strange, especially where the barrier may not be natural. Some have speculated that it's a creation of the Celestials meant to hold back some sort of great threat. For those interested, again, you can watch my video where I discuss the sources on this, or you can check out Supernatural Encounters of the Star Wars Universe, which gives some good, albeit technically non-Legends canon explanations. That takes us to number 5, Otherspace, another location which I've technically covered in prior videos. Otherspace is sort of like the City of Dreams in that it's not native to the main dimension within the Star Wars universe, but rather than being a rip, it's actually described as a pocket dimension, the place between hyperspace and real space. Now, Otherspace is also heavily examined in the Supernatural Encounters text. However, most of the concrete information we know says that you usually reach Otherspace due to some sort of hyperdrive malfunction, and that the Charon, one species who were stuck there, was mostly warped due to their isolation and perhaps other factors, leading them to want to strike back against the rest of the galaxy. Now, to be fair, Otherspace really only appears in old RPG guides, but I still think it's a pretty fun idea. I think threats from other dimensions can be a little cheeky, but it's also an interesting idea. Now, Otherspace isn't the only extra-dimensional location in Star Wars. I've covered most of these previously, but another good example would be Waru, who comes from a dimension with the Anti-Force. But anyway, those are the 5 entries that I chose. However, I'd like to discuss some follow-ups. First off, we have the Star Wars versions of the Bermuda Triangle. Specifically, we have the Dryden Triangle, where ships were known to disappear since the Clone Wars and was subsequently used to test TIE Phantoms, as well as the Hell Hoop. We have the Corellian system, which for some reason was artificially assembled by an ancient race using Centerpoint Station. We have just generally the deep core, the unknown regions, and the space outside the Star Wars galaxy, including the various nebula or star systems just outside the rim. We have, as my friend Corey from Corey Loses reminded me, Rainbow, a rainbow planet within the Hapes cluster that was actually, of course, created by a young fan, and the Cathal Rift, which was home to, among other things, the Ang-Ti monks, and the remnants of the ancient Cathal race itself. Speaking of the Cathal, there are a bunch of ancient civilizations which I think deserve a closer look in the future, and they're fairly strange. Everything from the remnants of the Qua and the Gree to the seemingly devolved Sharu. But that's all for today. Is there something you'd like to learn more about that I briefly mentioned today? Is there a galactic location you wish I would have included? Or is there something else in these sort of Atlas style videos you'd like me to cover? Let me know all of that and more down in the comments. Anyway guys, as always, this has been Eckhart's Ladder. Be safe, have a good day, and of course, may the Force be with you.